What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. Today's episode is going to be brought to you by Mystery Ranch, built for the mission. And if you haven't been rocking a Mystery Ranch Fireline pack, well, that sucks. Yeah, your back is, well, I don't even really want to know what your back feels like. Probably just sucks, though. But anyways, if you want to get the best, most well-built, and the damn good warranty that is Mystery Ranch, well, go over to www.mysteryranch.com and get on that good Fireline pack. Also, if you happen to be in the the neighborhood, you might as well go and check out the Backbone series as well. And why do I ask this of you? Well, you can go over to the Backbone series and they are accepting some new submissions for the Backbone series scholarship program. And if you don't know what that is, well, you might want to check it out, because if you're looking to get some classes under your belt, EMT classes or that S class that you've been wanting to get, well, now you don't really have an excuse, because Mystery Ranch is giving away some $1,000 scholarships dedicated to accelerating your career and doing better for yourself. So get over there. What are you waiting for? Anyways, the deadline for these scholarships are going to be closing May 31st, 2023. So I highly suggest you go over to www.mysteryranch.com and check it out, because TikTok pitter patter, time is running out. They're awesome. Like I said, go over there, check them out. The Anchor Point Podcast is also going to be brought to you by our premier coffee sponsor, and that is going to be none other than Hot Shot Brewery. It's kick-ass coffee for a kick-ass cause, and a portion of the proceeds will always go back to the Wildland Firefighter Foundation. And if you're not into coffee, if you don't drink coffee, which you're probably a monster if you don't, well, they have a ton of other stuff, like all the tools of the trade to get your morning started off right, and a ton of Wildland Firefighter themed apparel. If you want to find out more, go over to www.hotshotbrewing.com and check out their full line of kick-ass coffee, all the tools of the trade to get your morning started off right, and all that kick-ass Wildland Firefighter themed apparel. Like I said, it's a good cause that they support, repping some funds over there for the Wildland Firefighter Foundation. So once again, go over to www.hotshotbrewing.com and check them out. And of course, I got to give a quick little shout out to my buddy Booze over at the ASS movement, and that stands for the Anti-Surface Shitting Movement. Homie's a firefighter up there in AK, and he's doing the good deed of spreading poo-bearing propaganda across the globe. I don't know about everybody out there that's listening, but I absolutely hate it when I see a surface turd or someone just doesn't clean up their wreckage left behind their human excrement, and it's disgusting, and that shit needs to stop. So not only is he one of my very close homies, and we work together on some other projects, he's got a good mission, and it was all started from humble beginnings, which you can ask him all about. Anyways, if you head over to www.thefirewild and check out the ASS movement and use the code AnchorPointASS10 at checkout, well, you can save 10% off your entire order through the ASS movement. Go check them out. Once again, that is www.thefirewild.com/the ASS movement. And last but not least, the Anchor Point Podcast is going to be, well, not sponsored by, but supported by. No, not even supported by. How do we present this? Well, I'm a huge supporter of theirs, and I believe in what they're doing. Now, they don't pay me for doing these ads. I just believe in their cause. So, one, go over to www.wildfireexperience.org and check it out. You may possibly know them as the Smoky Generation. What do they do? Well, it is a catalog of wildland firefighting stories dating all the way back to the 1940s. It's like a digital history lesson from our peers in the field and some of those legendary figures that we call superintendents, hotshots, and operators, our peers, all of that stuff. It's all located there at the Wildfire Experience, the American Wildfire Experience, or the Smoky Generation. They're all linked to each other. So go over there, check it out. And while you're at it, check out the Smoky Generation grant program that they are doing, because it is awesome. They're giving away $500 grants to those folks that are telling the story of wildland fire. Now, time is limited on this one too. So TikTok, pitter patter, get at her. Anyways, Bethany, you have a kick-ass organization out there. Keep it up.
The views and opinions of this podcast do not reflect the views and opinions of the United States government, the Department of the Interior, the Department of Defense, the Department of Agriculture, the United States Forest Service, the Bureau of Land Management, National Park Service, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, or any private, municipal, county, or state firefighting organization, any law enforcement agency, any medical provider, or any contractor employed by any federal agency.
What's going on, everybody? I hope everybody is doing well. Welcome back to another episode of the Anchor Point Podcast. Yeah, looks like things are starting to heat up a little bit. I don't know. It's like warming up, not heating up. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Anyways, I hope everybody is doing well and they are geared up and ready for the season. But today's episode is going to be dedicated all to running. Now, why is this coming out right about now in April? Well, because if you're on a crew or a helitac module or just a wildland firefighter in general, well, I bet your ass is running. And with that, we are going to try and explain how to run properly. Running was one of my favorite pastimes, said no one ever, back when I was a firefighter. But if you learn how to get good at it and learn how to explore the pain cave in peace, well, you're going to be much better of a runner. That's just what it is. Anyways, today we're going to have Landsharks Running Company on the show. It's a gentleman by the name of Lucas Garrett, and we're going to go over injury avoidance, some recipes for avoiding the shin splints, the hammies. We're going to talk about recovery. We're going to talk about running optimization, like your stance, your pace, your footwear, your form. We're going to talk about nutrition, the importance of rest. And we're, of course, going to talk about optimizing that threshold of the pain cave. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my good friend, Lucas Garrett. Welcome to the Anchor Point. I gotta do like the sound sync thing. It's kind of stupid. So
I just learned about the sound sync thing and I think it's fantastic.
Dude, it makes
I clap though.
Oh man, it makes it so much easier to like sync up your audio and video later down the road. So yeah. Smart. Just lazy, really. Helps me edit faster.
Editing is, I'm learning all about it.
Dude, it's very time consuming, but I've kind of gotten some efficiencies going there, but yeah. But anyways, besides that, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Anchor Point Podcast. Today on the show, I've got my buddy, Lucas Garrett with Landsharks Running Company. How you doing today, man?
Good. How are you doing?
Excellent. Busy, which is a good thing.
With that.
Yeah. New day job. And we're crushing it. So what about you, dude?
Same. I mean, lots of awesome things are happening. So we're busy. It's a good kind of busy. So I'm very thankful to be busy, but I'm excited for one day when it's not busy and I can take a deep breath. But at the same time, I like getting after it. So it's kind of nice.
Nice. So tell us a little bit about yourself, man. So what's your background? Like, how'd you get into the running coaching world? How'd you start your company? Take it away.
Absolutely. So I'll give you a little background about how running started. When I was in high school, I was actually an offensive lineman. So I was a bigger dude and I wanted to be faster. And so I went to the track and asked the coach, hey, can I run? And he said, no, you're too big to run. And I just remember the feeling I had when he did that. And I was like, man, that stinks. So I dropped 60 pounds, got into it, junior college, started running, got in the triathlon club, did this whole thing, got my Bachelors of Science in Kinesiology, really fell in love with how the body moved. Ultimately, stopped pursuing that and went into the fire service, worked in the fire service for 6.5 years, CAL FIRE for 2.5 or 3, and then worked for the city of Lodi Fire Department for about 3.5 years. And then I resigned and I do this full time, pursuing a passion of helping people move and motivating through movement. So that's kind of a little backstory about it.
Nice.
I don't know if that answered your question.
Oh, absolutely, man. So you got a passion project going, huh? And you moved out of fire and you've done both structure and wildland. So you're very familiar with how much we run.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. So,
I think you run a lot when
go ahead.
No, I think you run a lot in the beginning, and then maybe not run as much as you should or want to. And then you run. Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. And that's the thing too. I think it's important that we have a discussion like this and have a professional who's educated in the context and the subject of running on the show this particular time of year, because everybody's starting to come on for the season. Everybody's just probably getting their ass kicked right now doing Hell Week. And it's not going to stop until the end of the season. And then you might have some recovery, but then you have to train for next year. So with that, let's talk about what you specialize in with Landsharks.
So anywhere from elite to off the couch is where I specialize. Generally, I have let's say an equation or a theory that I believe produces results. And my result is ultimately trying to get you to the start line healthy and happy. So as long as I can do those things, plus being injury free, then that's a bonus for me. I don't think people realize how hard it is to train extremely hard and get to the start line injury free without any problems. And so ultimately my goal is to have a relationship with my client in such a way that we can work to accomplish that goal together. That's
so kind of it. Do you take the more one-on-one approach and kind of optimize each individual, or do you do group as well?
So I do both. I think that however you want to call it, the benefit of having a one-on-one coach versus just, let's say, a plan that's out there. A plan is great, but everybody's different, kind of how we had talked about earlier. But having that one-on-one coach isn't just helping you be a better runner. They're having a relationship with you, and that relationship understands that you have kids, you have a job. They understand that life stresses happen. And so that one-on-one is super valuable and important. But we don't need to take for granted the fact that just moving at a decent pace sometimes is going to be the best thing for you. So just all of that in general.
Oh, absolutely. Now, you mentioned running without injury and injury avoidance. So I know everybody is terrified of getting injured, especially if you're a wildlander structure firefighter, right? If you're in any firefighter or someone who just relies on their body to do their job. It doesn't matter if you're a construction worker. It doesn't matter if you're a cop, an LEO, firefighter. It's all very body driven industries, right? We work with our hands, we work with our legs, we rely on our bodies. And I know a lot of people out there have to suffer with injuries. So what's like your recipe for identifying like potential injuries? Like, is it just pacing? What is it, man? Like listening to your body?
I mean, that's the most basic way to kind of do that, is to listen to your body and to know the difference between, hey, I have a calf, this kind of a tight calf, or like a little bothersome in the calf, and the fact that when I run, it feels like someone's stabbing me in the calf. So listening to your body in that way. But ultimately, I think the best way to do it is to have a plan, achieve that plan, but prioritizing rest. So Steve Magnus is a really famous running coach and author, and has a really cool couple of books called Doing Hard Things and Peak Performance. And in those books, he stresses stress plus rest equals growth. So a lot of times I like to remind my athletes that if we want our biceps to get bigger, right, we're going to do some bicep curls. We're going to break apart that muscle, but it's not going to get bigger or better or stronger unless we give it rest. When I've talked to other coaches and we're trying to, he's expressing the importance of what a professional athlete maybe be versus an everyday person like me might be. The professional athlete gets paid to recover. We necessarily don't get paid to recover. So I might use going to work as my recovery, or going and doing something with my kids or yard work as my recovery, when you might have a professional athlete who's doing the sauna, the ice bath, the compression shorts, rolling out, stretching, doing all these things. So if you want to relate the professional athlete to a firefighter, anyway, the biggest thing is that firefighters they need to know that they're actually a professional athlete. So you need to prioritize that rest and do those things appropriately to kind of help you with injury prevention. We can dive into that for a long time, but that's kind of just a blanket statement.
Oh, flood the airwaves with all of the knowledge, man. Because recovery is one of those things that's oftentimes overlooked, especially in the tactical athlete. And I know some people love that term. Some people hate it. Some people are indifferent to the term tactical athlete, but I don't really know what else to call wildland firefighters or firefighters in general besides tactical athletes, or like you said, professional athletes. So let's go down the deep path, the deep end of recovery. Take it away, man.
Sleep. That's where you start. I mean, when I was and I think you brought it to the point when we first started talking about how, it's hell week right now. Everyone's kind of getting their ass kicked and doing all these things. I'm not saying slow down. I'm saying beat your operators, be the first person to volunteer for all the things that you're going to be doing. But at the same time, when you're done with the fuel that you're putting in your body, the type of food that you're eating, the rest, the water, the hydration, all those things are so valuable and important that we take it for granted. I think that a lot of times when we're doing these things, we always look for that quick fix. So supplement. Someone's like, hey man, I want to take ZMAs. I want to take creatine. I want to do this. I want to do that. If we just prioritize sleep is where a lot of stuff is produced. You're getting your actual HGH, human growth hormone, that's being produced in that first part of your sleep. If you prioritize sleep, it's like taking steroids. So if you want to take steroids, go to sleep and prioritize it. Have a routine. Do these things. Make sure that you're not drinking water too late, close to bed, because then you're going to be up peeing all night. Make sure you're stopping having caffeine intake. When I was on probation, I was having 2 bangs a day. I didn't sleep. Yeah, it was terrible. I would have a bang in the morning because we didn't sleep all night because we were up all night. And then I got to be the first person to wake up and be in there, making sure the coffee was made and the dishes were done and everything was clean. And then we'd get ran all day and then we'd train all day. And I had a captain who would have an energy drink at 3 p.m. So he wouldn't go to bed till 2 a.m. So I'd be the last one up. It was just like a vicious cycle. And I caught myself just mental everything, every kind of fatigue you can think of, I had. And so just finding a way to prioritize sleep is going to be the best way to kind of do that. And then let's say sleep's at the top, then food, nutrition, hydration. How are you doing that? Eating real food more often, eating sometimes more than you think you need to eat, replenishing the stuff that you're using. So not only as you're working, I would just have snacks in my pocket. And so when I would be working, I'd take a second and just throw something in my mouth and eat so that I can work longer, because you're ultimately using that as a fuel source. So doing that and then making sure you're hydrated. I know that in Cal Fire, I don't know about other places, but they're always like, hey, 3 waters to every Gatorade kind of thing, making sure that you're not getting overdone. There's just a lot. I mean, that's just a huge ticket item. So my biggest thing for recovery, sleep, then nutrition. And then we can go down another road about a bunch of other stuff, but I'll just stop there.
Keep it going, dude. This is important stuff, because I was a huge proponent of recovery. Targeted recovery when I was in the fire industry, when I was working, especially when I was on the in Doyle on my engine crew. And we developed a pretty bitchin' PT program out there, and people weren't getting hurt. And I think that's like a telltale sign of what's effective in the long run. As long as people aren't getting, fucked up during the time that they're trying to recover, or, they're trying to train to be optimized in the jobs, that's successful in my book. Right. So what else do we have that's in the recovery frame?
Let's talk about the actual work that you're doing. I was a coach at a CrossFit gym, and just seeing that and the relationship between that and the fire service, I think that some of those high intensity interval training workouts are really good if you're working for a short period of time, and then you need to do some stuff right afterwards. Like we do salvage and overhaul. So we fight a fire for 15 minutes or 5-10 minutes, whatever it was. And then the actual work started, pool ceiling, doing all these things. But if you didn't have that ability to kind of go balls to the wall and then have this moderate state, you'd have to fill out your BA or your bottle all the time, and you would just be worthless. If you're on the side of a hill and you're scratching line or you're doing something and you got knocked out because you were maybe using something a little too hard or scratching the line too long or on the chainsaw for too long, and you went through 3 tanks of gas and you were just too much pride. But then your captain has to call on the radio like, hey, we got firefighter Garrett's down. We can't do this kind of stuff. The type of training that we're doing is important. So this is where I kind of nerd out, is this zone 2 thing that a lot of people like to talk about, but they don't necessarily understand why they're doing zone 2. Zone 2 just gives you this huge pool that you can actually pull energy systems from by using what you're producing in this anaerobic area, and then it's using it as a fuel source. So you're just prolonging your ability to work. And what we're doing in the fire service is you're just trying to find the best way and the longest way to work. And if we can find the energy systems and the fuel source that do that, you're going to be a better firefighter. People are going to want to work with you because you're able to work for a long period of time and then recover fast. So prioritizing recovery, but also knowing that the types of training that you're doing is going to help you be a better individual on the fire line, on the fire scene, wherever else you're kind of going to be.
I gotcha. So usually those two different pathways, those I guess aerobic pathways, you would say?
Aerobic and anaerobic.
Yeah. I guess what I'm trying to get, those energy pathways, there's what, 3 of them, 3 primary ones. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that short burst of energy, that's going to be like your weightlifting, you're like going for 1 rep max, right? That's going to be the fastest release and the easiest to recover, right?
Like 10 to 12 seconds. It's not the easiest to recover, but like if I were going to implement them on a training plan, I might give you a 10 to 12 second burst, like let's say a 100-meter sprint, but then I'm going to give you a long period of recovery because it takes a lot longer to get that fuel source ready to go. Is that?
Gotcha. Okay. What about that second one?
So that second one that you're talking about, I like to vision in my eyes, I'm looking at kind of running. So we're looking at 800 and below. What people don't understand is that whenever you're using any fuel source, you're going to use all 3 fuel sources. So even though if you're trying to prioritize one fuel source, you're going to use another one. And what I find important is that you're not just implementing it in a way that is your way to do it, or in running or in firefighting. I just pulled these books out of my backpack because at the moment they're going over all this stuff. And I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed. This book is MMA conditioning. Who reads? I'm a runner. I'm not fighting anybody. And then the inner game of tennis. They're just different kind of coaching methodologies that you need to know, that they're all going to tell you these kinds of things that are going to give you information. I don't know everything, but there are people out there that know a lot more than I do, but I can kind of get that information in and try to regurgitate it. But yeah, so you were talking about the creatine phosphate, the glycolytic, and then oxidative kind of different types of energy
Couldn't remember.
systems.
It's been a long time since my CrossFit level 1.
There you go. But when you're using different types of fuel sources, they're all going to be integrated into one. And I mean, over time, you're going to go through all of them. When I'm doing any type of training plan or training thing, you can find ways to have let's say a 20 second or a 10 second bout, but I'm going to have a longer bit of rest so that I can fully get that regenerated to go again. And then if I'm going to do like oxidative, right, which is the longer one where we're breathing it in and we're getting that CO2 out, those kind of different types of exercises are what I value, because having more of that and better functioning ability, let's say like your capillary or your capillary density, or all these things that you have your mitochondria function, you're going to be able to use that oxygen, use that lactate that's produced in a different type of energy system as a fuel source. And it's just crazy how it all works out and how your body just uses these things. Have you heard of lactic acid, like being a bad thing?
I mean, now that I understand it, like a bit of baseline science behind the utility of lactic acid, it's changed my perceptions, but everybody, me included, I mean, I still have that perception of like lactic acid being directly correlated to like soreness, right? Oh, you just got to work the lactic acid out of your muscles. So if you want to get into that, I mean, explain
that's my favorite thing to talk about, because I was under the impression, I remember when I ran cross country or track at my junior college, we would talk about the lactic acid buildup, and we were trying to do all these things. So lactate, and then you actually have a hydrogen molecule that's in there. That's what's causing the acidity. The lactate is actually a good source of fuel. They're trying to figure out all these things and finding new ways that lactate is actually a good thing. And you're using it as a fuel source. So you can take it in with pyruvate and doing all these really cool things, how it breaks down and gets funneled back into, let's say, this factory called the mitochondria, kind of produced back out. And you can use it as an ATP, so you can actually have another muscle contraction. So what I'm trying to do in my type of training philosophy in the fire service or in triathletes or runners and doing all these things is find a way to be the most or the best functioning athlete for a longer period of time. Like I said from the beginning, we're trying to build from that pool. I want you to have such a vast what's it called? Variety of fuel to pull from that you can work for a long period of time. Someone way smarter than me, his name's Chris Henshaw. I don't know if you know Chris Henshaw from the aerobic capacity. He's a big CrossFit kind of endurance guy. He had a really good analogy for it. And so he did a revolver, so like a little gun, and in the middle, you had a fast twitch muscle. And around that fast twitch muscle, let's say you had all the slow twitch. You had 30 slow twitch muscle around that one fast twitch, right? And then there's me on the other hand. I'm over here and I have a fast twitch in the middle, but I only have like 2 or 3 slow twitch muscles. Let's say we start working in the field. I'm starting to use a chainsaw, whatever. I go through my 2 slow twitch muscle fibers that I'm thinking about. I go back to go regenerate from that slow twitch. I can't do it. I go into my fast twitch. Boom. I'm done. I'm fatigued. I'm a T-Rex, right? You get those cramps from being on the chainsaw arms too long. Yes. I'm sitting there and I can't do it anymore. You, on the other hand, are on your 3rd tank of gas, working the chainsaw and the manzanita like a mofo, right? You're just going to town on it. And you're like, how's this guy able to do this? It's because you have these slow twitch muscles. So you have them and then they're around this whole little, remember, this is a fast twitch. We're going around, you're going slow twitch. You're going back around. By the time you get back to your 29th, 30th slow twitch, you're able to use that fuel source that you've been producing again. And you're going to go. You're not going to get to that fast twitch yet.
Yeah, you're not going to get gassed.
You're not going to get gassed out. And so you're able to do these things for a lot longer period of time. And you saw this in CrossFit. You saw CrossFit athletes. They would be really good at Fran. Like 2 minutes or 3 minutes. And then you would put them in a 10 to a 15, maybe 20 minute workout and they're just done. And or
you throw Murph at them and they're just going to go.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what are you doing? But if they had done some different types of training, like sitting on a bike for 45 minutes at 200 watts at a lower heart rate, if they'd done these other things like going for a slow, easy jog, but actually going for a slow jog, not being that competitive person that they might be because they're in CrossFit, they're doing these other things where they're like, hey, I'm going to beat everybody. And so in doing that, if we change the mindset and the framework of these training plans, we can make them better individuals, not only on the fire line, but in life. And so that when we're getting people to be firefighters, right? I don't know how long you've been a firefighter, how many years you've been one, but it's not the first year. It's not the second year. It's trying to get to the 30th year happy and healthy so that you can maintain that relationship later after you're done. So you can continue to do whatever it is that you love after you retire. So that was we went really down deep into that one, but that's my passion.
Yeah,
so that's what I get into.
Well, that's the thing, though. I think it's good to have that kind of eye-opening discussion, especially to a lot of people that are getting into their next season of fire, because it's not about what's right in front of you. It's about making it to you're 25 and out or you're 20 and out and not having a fucked up rotator cuff or
absolutely
blown out knees and all that stuff, man. And we're very prone to injury, and also I think that's added. Let me rephrase that. We can become prone to injury because of the constant go, right? We're not very good at recovery, but also at the same time, we don't quit because we're super competitive. So that CrossFit like competition thing, especially along the lines of crew life, that's a very real thing. So, I mean,
absolutely. Yeah. I'm undefeated up any hill in California with my crew or anyone in Cal Fire. That was my claim to fame, right? I was the first up the hill every single time. And if anyone beat me, no one beat me because I would either die or I would beat them up the hill. And that was my thought process. I'd actually just recently given a little seminar at a local Cal Fire camp, and the Ponderosa crew, if you're out there, fantastic work. Another level, they're the tip of the spear. They're doing awesome stuff. But they brought me in to kind of talk about these things to help them so that they can produce the best crew out there, so that they're not the best for the first 15 minutes. They're the best for the whole 24-hour shift that they're on or whatever shift pattern that they're on. I was going through all my pictures because I was putting together a slideshow for them. And I found a picture of my old crew from Riverside. I worked at Riverside for about a year and I had a solid crew. That was my first season ever. I had amazing senior firemen. I had really good firemen that I was coming up with. And one of them on the picture that I found was Kelly Wong. And Kelly Wong, a year after this picture was taken, was killed during a training. The fact is, the picture that I was looking at, he was in it. A year later, the next picture I found is me at his funeral. And so it just shows you how close the person next to you is, that you might not know if they're going to be there the next year. So I want to start with that. if what I want to say to that crew that's getting after it, one, I will never tell you to not be competitive and not to be the first person up the hill, because that's something you should always strive for. None of my operators, I would not let my operators beat me. I will not let my chief beat me. I will not let my captain beat me up the hill. I believe that's a good thing to do, to attempt or to try to do, and to be the best that you can be. I'd always be the first person to volunteer because I wanted to be the person who was getting after it and going. So I'll never tell anybody not to do that. What I am telling people to do is that if we are going to have a method of training of, let's say, this is another little word or quotation marks, is 80-20. 80% of the time, we're going to be doing kind of easy, moderate stuff to lower heart rate training. And 20% of the time, we're getting after it. The 20% of the time, make that a competition where you're trying to be the best, you're trying to be the fastest. Don't do that every single day. The 80% of the time, let's find a different target for you to do that. Let's find it. Who can stay on a bike and hold watts of 200 at a lower heart rate for the longest period of time without falling off, without getting their heart rate up? I'm going to be better aerobically gifted because I planned out that way and I changed the target of my workout to do that. But I'm still winning, right? It's because I was able to do it for a longer period of time. So if you and I were on the bike next to each other and you're able to hold to 200 watts and keep a heart rate of 148 or whatever, and you're able to do that for an hour, and then I can hold 200 watts and I can only do it for 30 minutes, and now my heart rate's through the roof, you beat me and you're the better athlete in that kind of scenario. So let's change the framework of our competition. If we're always getting our ass kicked, we're always doing these things continuously, we're not allowing ourselves to fully recover, then we're just going to be adrenal fatigue. We're going to be completely wrecked. We're going to be in a bad mood. Our sex drive is going to be off. Our hormones are going to be all messed up. You don't want to be that person that comes home and is like, you want to be that person that comes home to your kids. You're feeling ready. You're feeling ready to go. You're a good father, a spouse, a partner, whatever you are. So you don't just do it for that. You do it for the other part. I don't know if that kind of answered your question, but that was just.
I think what I was trying to allude to is like the, especially in the wildland, especially hotshot crews, type 2 IA crews. I think the thing I was trying to allude to was that we embrace like a suffer culture. And I understand the utility of being able to suffer through some gnarly crap and like be able to still put out work under austere environments. And that's sometimes trying to be replicated in training, in PT programs. But I think that there's a better way to do it. What are your thoughts on that?
Steve Magnus has a book called Do Hard Things. And in this book, he quotes a story about a football camp where this coach took his crew, or let's just call his crew, to this camp. And they went with, I don't know how many, I'm making these numbers up. They went with 70 people. They came back with 25 people. And then a few years later, they ended up winning the state championship. They attributed the winning of that state championship to, or the national championship, whatever it is, to that hard football camp. So when I was in football in high school, you remember the Titans, like blue is no longer tired, nor thirsty, that whole line. Like that culture is in high school football, right? And it's also in the fire service, so NBD. But they attributed to that really hard, super hard football camp. When they come back to it, they found out that the only people that made it through that football camp that were still involved were only 3. And the people that were really good were the red shirt freshmen who didn't even go to the football camp. And then the people that didn't make it from the football camp were actually All-Americans, and they ended up being professional athletes. So the football camp itself wasn't the thing. It was just the timing of everything. And so they miscalculated this whole thing because they thought it was this one super hard, like, I'm going to grind you to the bone kind of camp, when ultimately it wasn't that. And that probably hindered their experience. But that's where this culture started. And so in the fire service, I was told that their goal was to make me quit every single day. That was a goal because they wanted me to earn my respect or earn their respect. And I 100% agree with it, because your life is on the line. You don't want someone that's going to be there to say like, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. It's too hot. Like, you don't want that person behind you.
You don't.
You don't. But you need to know and prioritize that as I'm doing those things, and that culture that's in there, to be a bigger person and know that maybe that isn't the best way to produce firefighters, that there are other ways that we can make that firefighter a better individual and a better firefighter in general. Like, if we look at it as individual, that person will be able to work more. They're going to be there on the line because they're not going to be injured. They're going to be healthier. Their mental status is going to be great. They're not going to break down in stressful situations, all because we kind of took a step back and we looked at the bigger picture of this person's career for a long period of time. I feel like I am like going around your question without answering it exactly. And I can't put my, how am I don't know. So am I closer? I feel like I'm closer.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess I'm just trying to get into the next topic with that conversation of like preventing injuries. And especially if you're a leadership on the crew, if you're a squatty or the crew boss or the superintendent or whatever, or even you can even lead from the bottom on this one. If you're just the regular firefighter, right? Lowest of the organizational chain, right? I mean, reading the room, I think that's kind of important as far as preventing injury. Now, not every two individuals are going to be the same, and it's not a one size fits all kind of PT program. And we need to be aware of that. Of course, you've already said that. But as far as reading the room, so to speak, what are some tips and tricks that you have for the leadership out there to identify like, hey, my crew's dragging ass. Are we overworking them? Are we under recovering them? Or what are we doing here?
I think it's a humility. I think is a big one. And that's just in everything that you do. I will never say that I know everything. And if I do, you don't listen to me, because if anyone ever tells anybody that they know everything, they're wrong, because there's always another way. They might be right, but there's another way that someone else might be right as well. So in that framework, humility, a prime example is someone had contacted me and said, hey, I cannot last that long on these runs. I'm getting wrecked by these kids. Like, what is wrong? And I talked to this person and I said, okay, well, let's see what you're doing. Like, what do your runs look like? And he goes, I run 3 miles every day at a 7-minute mile pace.
It's probably really good at that.
That's it, right?
That's it though.
So I read a book by Matt Fitzgerald called 80-20. And in this book, he had talked about running a 7-minute mile, 3 miles every single day and not getting any better. There's two different stresses that we're trying to hit. So I'm going off on topic. Let's talk about, answer your question. Humility with a captain, understanding that maybe their version might have worked for one group last year or 2019's group, but this group is a little bit different, and we need to mold and find a way to make this group better. And a good leader would be able to admit or take a step back and see that there's a difference in quality or a difference in training methodology that is going to help progress their crew. It's not a bad crew. It's not a bad kid. It's a bad parent. So if you take it the same way, you can't get mad at the child for being a jerk. It's probably because of their parents. So if you look at a captain or a lieutenant or any cadre that's out there, if they're able to ask for help in maybe an area that they don't really specialize in, then they're probably gonna have a better crew. So if I don't know too much about ropes or heavy rescue and all that stuff, I'm gonna bring in someone that's really good at ropes and heavy rescue so that I can learn and also my crew can learn. If I'm not great at, let's say, wildland, I'd go learn from the best wildland out there. But I might not be good at wildland, but I might be really good at structure, So it's like, you got to find where you're really good and you're not very good, and be humble enough to ask for help. So I think that's my advice for people out there and that's what I like to lead, I guess, by example, is to admit and be real with the people and to let them know or understand that, hey, I don't know that answer, but I will do everything I can to find it for you, and we can find it together, and let's learn about this together.
No, absolutely.
I don't know if that helps.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a two-way street too, because I think that the firefighter, we get into this culture of like never quit culture, which is admirable. It's great. It's what keeps us alive, right? It's what keeps us together in shitty situations. However, you have to have a real discussion with yourself. Cause I mean, I've been guilty of injuring people during PT. I've actually given somebody rap and I kicked myself in the goddamn head every day for it.
Okay.
But the thing that it was a blind spot for me with that whole situation was they were very much never quit. No matter what it was, they were built to never fail. And it was a woman too. And she was one of the best damn firefighters ever. Right. She kicked wholesale ass during the whole PT program, but then she got injured because I had that blind spot that she could keep going and I wasn't reading the room. So I guess saying something too, you know.
I think what you alluded to was that you were doing something that was harder and you knew that your crew would never be a never quit mentality. And when we do that as, let's say, a cadre or a captain or whatever rank you are, to understand, right, to know that she was that type of individual that was just going to be like, I will die before I let you take me off of this hill. And she probably has something to prove. I don't know, baby. And so she's going to get it and she's just going to get after it and she's going to go for it. Or he's going to get it and he's going to get after it. At that point, let's say, now that you've experienced that and you understand that and have learned that, now you can go back to that same situation and we can look at the type of training that you're doing at that time, or let's say the type of workout. So we're running up these hills. We were doing all these things. We were scratching lines, whatever. We were cutting line. We were doing this. We could still get a benefit from the type of, the outlook I'm going to get. So the load focus or the training focus. So instead of being like, I'm going to do as many 100 meter repeats versus I'm going to run a 400 at the exact same pace within 1 or 2 seconds, 20 times. So it's just changing the load focus or the training focus of the goal of the workout is going to be the difference of doing that. Being a good leader, a good captain is understanding where to grab your athletes or your crew to lead them to that one spot. So understanding, and that's what a good coach is, right? A good coach knows that I might have one athlete that could do 14 hours a week of training. He's a financial advisor. He's doing all these crazy things. He has 2 children and he works out for 15 hours a week on top of all these other things. And then I have another athlete that only works out an hour and a half total a week. They're still getting better.
Yeah.
Right? They're just at different levels. So
yeah, that whole progression thing too, because I think a lot of things relate to running. Not only you kind of talked about it earlier, you kind of hinted at it, but running directly translates to your hiking ability, to your weightlifting ability, to your mental fortitude, your recovery. I mean, it's all these things kind of revolve around each other. It's not one specialty thing. It's all of it put together, right? Mm-hmm. So, go ahead.
It seems like you're alluding to a good balance is going to produce the best athletes. And so being aware of what that balance is, some people don't know. And from an outside perspective, a balance in one area might be great versus another area.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like, I think the balance is kind of key because I mean, crews that just are only running, I mean, you're good at running, but what else can you do to, throw into the mix, right?
Yeah, you talk about what are you doing when you're throwing the Pulaski? Like, are you doing crossbody movements? Are you just running? Like, I coach a kids running club, and in that running club, we're going over. Everyone can go forwards and backwards. Well, a lot of kids can only go forward. Not a lot of them can go backwards. But we're doing lateral movements. We're doing plyometrics. We're doing broad jumps. We're doing these things. We're doing single leg isolation at such a young age. Because we're developing these skills in a fun way, like playing tag or lateral tag or doing these things that are going to make them better individuals later in life. And so in doing that and being aware of those things are super important. So
I gotcha. So let's get back into the injury thing. So I know a lot of people out there, they're concerned about shin splints, and that's like the number one thing out there, I want to say, as far as like running. I wouldn't necessarily, what would you call it? An injury? Would you say it's an injury?
So that's
or
a tough
deficiency, maybe.
Yeah, no, 100% a deficiency. So it'd be a strength problem, or just like you said, progression. So a load going too fast, too soon, or too much volume over a short amount of time. So there's stress fractures that happen. There's shin splints. I've had all of them, and so that's probably my number one questions is like, hey, how do I get rid of shin splints? And I'll say, I start with your feet. And so the first thing I would talk about, and I said this at my last clinic, is that I'm not an Instagram influencer watching the sunrise, taking a video of myself with my shirt off, looking down at my feet, grounding to the earth or whatever. If that's what you're into, fantastic. But I am telling you to take your shoes off every once in a while and grab the grass and just see what that feels like. I'm trying to make my children athletes so that they can pay for their college and I can save some money. And so by doing that, I take them to parks and we run barefoot and we play tag. And so by doing that, I'm grounding them. I'm getting them to use the muscles inside their feet. There's actually a fire coach who was paid to coach the fire academy I was in. And he had us run sprints barefoot on this football field. And my feet had never been more sore in my life. So starting there, knowing that there's muscles and everything in there that are connecting you, that are connecting to your shins. Your shin is actually the reason why you're kind of doing that is you're trying to get this muscle or this bone to kind of straighten out, and you're trying to get all these muscles, your stability muscles in there, and they're overactivating and you're doing it too fast. So you're stressing them out and you're doing this stuff and you haven't been doing mobility. You haven't been doing strength work with a band. You haven't been doing dorsiflex. You haven't been doing all these things to get your feet ready for it. And then you start increasing. So now let's say I was 18, I was able to run 40 miles a week. Now I'm 28. And now I'm trying to run 40 miles a week. Oh, I've done that when I was a kid. Like I could do that now. I'm a man. Understanding that you're not where you used to be and you have to build right back up to that appropriately. So understanding that you can't just go from 0 to 100. You have to gradually go up. And that's why a coach is so important, because they are going to, one, hold you back when you need to be held back. And they're also going to kind of lift you up when you're kind of feeling down. And so I get a lot of problems with these when I'm doing crazy stuff with different kinds of athletes. And I'm like, hey, like what originated this? And they said, oh, I was running 10 miles a week. Now I'm running 40 miles a week. Okay, well, there's your problem.
Yeah. Too much, too fast. So frequency, intensity, loading. I mean,
absolutely. Yeah. All of it. I mean, and starting, you and I talked about like shoes earlier. Something that's super important is once your feet are established, right? And let's say that you develop the strength in your feet, you develop the strength in your calf and in your shin and doing all these things. You grounded yourself, you're doing mobility and you were doing strength work, and you still have this problem. And you're like, man, what is it? Then you look down your shoes and they're from 2008. And you're like, yeah, I've had these same Nikes.
It's got like 270 miles on them.
Yeah, exactly. There's a life of a shoe. I'm not saying like this shoe goes out and parties every Friday night. I'm saying that the life expectancy of a shoe is anywhere from about 200 to 400, depending on the type of foam and durability that you have in these shoes. So if you look at these shoes and you start seeing wear and tear in the foam and the rubber on the bottom, you don't even see it. You just see just smoothness. That's time for new shoes. You can go to Fleet Feet. You can go to these other shoe stores that will legitimately scan your foot, and they are trained to look at how your foot goes around on the earth and feels all this stuff. And they will give you but they will give you a list of 4 or 5 shoes that will fit your foot appropriately, because there's different types of foam, there's different types of coverage, there's different types of laces, there's different types of rubber on the back, stability, neutral, all these different types of shoes that you
flat foot, neutral.
Like we can get into all this stuff. I mean, heel rise. I have people come up to me and they'll say, hey, my Achilles is busted, or like my heel hurts. I'm like, okay, cool. Like what were you doing? Oh, I'm training for a marathon. I was in New Balance. And I was like, all right, what was the drop on that? And they'll be like, what's a drop? And I'll be like, okay, well, the distance from the foam on this bottom part to this front part, let's say it was 8 millimeters. And they're like, yeah, but I got these shoes, the Ultras or whatever they're called, and they have a really wide toe box. I'm like, cool, but that's a 0 drop. So you went running 40 to 50 miles a week in an 8 millimeter drop shoe. Now you went to a 0 drop shoe. So now you just strained your calf. I'm not saying that a 0 drop shoe is bad. I'm just saying going from an 8 to a 0 is bad. Go from an 8 to a 6 to a 4, then maybe do a 0. Doing that appropriately. I mean, once you see like the Shin Splints progression, it relates to everything. If you want to lose weight, if you go from losing 30 pounds and then now you lost it, and now you're like, oh, now I weigh 33 pounds heavier. You're going on this up and down Oprah Winfrey diet, right? Doing these stuff because you didn't do it gradually. Everything in life takes a long, slow progression. It's simple, it's hard work, and it's hard to sell. So that's kind of,
I think that's a good point too, man. Because like a lot of people don't want to admit that there is no fast track. There is no fast, easy way. There's no shortcuts when it comes to your personal fitness. I mean, if you look at people like take Ronnie Coleman, for instance, yeah, he's busted now. Dude is broke off. However, he was an Olympian champion. He was a champ, right? He was the GOAT of weightlifting, but he dedicated his entire freaking life to that. Granted, he had some performance enhancers on board the entire time, but still that was his thing, right? He still took the dedication to do it. Rome wasn't built in a day. So
absolutely.
I mean, what do you have to say about pacing on that one and just expectations, setting realistic expectations and not beating the shit out of yourself for not progressing like tomorrow?
Well, I think someone was asking me about, we were talking about the lower heart rate training. And so we talked about the MOF method or VT, ventilatory threshold, and all these types of things. And they're like, how often should we retest or when should we see results? And I said, to kind of reiterate, the MOF method is you take 180 minus your age and you plus or minus 5 based on previous running experience or just in shapeness, injury, sickness, and you can do all that stuff. So 130 or 180 minus my age puts me at a 145. And then I add 5 because I'm in okay shape. And so I'm around 150. So that's where I think my kind of heart rate is when I want to be in the zone 2 kind of thing. Another way to tell if you don't have a heart rate monitor, if you and I are going on a run and we're talking to each other and I'm sitting there and I'm saying, man, this zone 2 training is awesome. I'm not in zone 2, right? I should be able to have this conversation with you and do this at a different type of ventilatory threshold. So starting there and understanding that pace is what I should do 80% of the time. I should be doing these types of workouts where I can do that and have a nice jog. I'm going to see the adaptation that I'm looking for. I'm going to see an increase in capillaries. I'm going to see an increase in density and in function in my mitochondria, which again are those little factories that we're going to take in and use kind of that energy source. So in pacing, I want to say, don't necessarily think about where you were when you were 18. Because if I tried to run as fast as I did and recover as fast as I did when I was 18, I'd probably have a stroke and die, right? Because 18, you're full of testosterone, all that stuff. Understanding that, like you said, it's going to take time. A prime example, I was looking for an easy remedy. I had this grouping of about 20 weeds in my yard. And you're like, what are you talking about weeds in a yard for running? And I called my buddy who's really good at yard stuff. I'm like, dude, how the heck do I get rid of this stuff? I can't figure it out. And I was like, maybe he has like some fertilizer that works. Maybe he has this one thing. He goes, you got to pull all the weeds out in that area and then that will get rid of them. I'm like, dude, no, there's got to be like an easier way. And he said no. And so I pulled the weeds out and then they came back, but there's a little bit smaller. And then a week later, I pulled the weeds out a little bit smaller. And now I have 0 weeds in my yard. And I was just like, this is the perfect example of trying to find an easy pill when the hard thing for a slow amount of time is the correct answer. And so that's the kind of analogy I like to use is we talked about that 7-minute mile, or maybe they said an 8 or 9-minute mile. Let's say you go for a run right now and you think running a 9-minute mile is slow. And then I put a heart rate monitor on you and you're running a 9-minute mile, but your heart rate's at 162. I'm thinking to myself like, okay, a 9-minute mile for him right now is maybe not the right stimulus we're looking for. So we're going to change it to a 10, 11, maybe even a 12. Maybe even a walk, run until we get this under control, maybe 2-3 weeks, maybe 2 months progression where we're doing this. When I started this whole 150, like my heart rate thing, I was running a 9:30-minute mile and I was keeping a 152 heart rate. 2.5 years later, I was running a 650 mile and I was keeping a sub 150 heart rate. So 2.5 years of doing this adaptation, I saw results. So knowing that it's going to be a long period of time before you get to see these kind of things is a hard thing to think about and to swallow because it takes a long time. It's adaptation, which when you're looking at it right now, this decision you're making right now might seem super small, but over a long period of time, that 1% kind of thing is going to add up to astronomical amounts. So just being okay with that.
Yeah. You get the compounding interest kind of get going on after a while, right?
Absolutely.
It's you're investing in yourself when it comes to, doing the right thing and doing the right threshold training or the right pacing, the loading, the frequency, all that shit that goes into fitness and physical fitness. You need to do it the right way or else you're just not going to get any gains or you'll plateau or get injured.
Absolutely. Okay. When you talk about plateau or get injured, I get people that absolutely get after it every day. And they're just like, dude, my legs hurt. I'm achy. I can't do this, blah, blah, blah. And I just look at them and they're not losing any weight. They're kind of staying at the same pace. They're not doing something. And then I I really look at kind of what the stuff that they're doing, and they're going to a CrossFit gym and are not, I'm not picking a CrossFit gym. That's just who people I talk to. They're going to a gym and they get
totally
wrapped,
not a CrossFit gym.
they're not a CrossFit. They're not writing their name on the board with an RX next to it. Any gym but CrossFit. And they go and then they just try really, really hard and they're getting after it. They feel great. They're laying on the floor and they do it again the next day. They're getting after it. They're going after it. Then the next day they're doing it and they're just fatigued. They're chronically fatigued. They're overtrained. I actually was listening to one of your podcasts. If the people are listening to this podcast, there's a podcast. I don't know who is a doctor, and he was talking about all this cool stuff. And he was talking about the signs of fatigue and chronic fatigue. And if you have any one of those symptoms, you need to relook at your training load and relook at your focus and understand the reason why you're doing what you're doing. Are you trying to be the best today? Are you trying to be the best for a lifetime? So that's kind of the thing.
Copy that. So obviously overtraining kind of goes into the injury proneness, right? It exposes you to injury. Like, I guess with the shin splints thing, that's like the baseline I wanted to say. That's like the quintessential go-to, I want to say, for running injuries, right? Or running deficiencies. Let's not call it an injury, but that could stem into something else, especially when it's combined with overtraining, under recovery, whatever you want to call it. But now we work into things like hamstring injuries, like stuff that really can mess you up, especially if you go from like hiking all summer and you decide to go do sprint work. Like, you're basically ass off the couch going into some pretty hardcore stuff. And I don't think we're really aware of that. So what do you have to say on that?
I mean, there's a prime example of, I won't say what department it was, but there was a captain who was racing a probationary in a 100-meter sprint. And this captain was very fast, but he's also older. And so they went and they raced and he was winning. He was getting after. He's probably going to be the probationary. He's probably going to show him what's up. Pulls a hamstring. Absolutely devastates him. He's out of work. He's doing all this stuff. So with all my athletes, we kind of do a progression of drills and strides. So you said like, hey, you've been hiking and now you're trying to, during your off season or whatever, you're going to do sprints, and you go from hiking kind of moderate stuff to like, I'm going to get these sprints. If you don't do the appropriate, let's say, warm up or build up again to progression, activate the muscles that you're trying to activate, you're going to get injured. So when people ask me about changing their form or changing their gait or changing all this stuff, I don't necessarily try to manipulate their body into the correct position. I'm looking at different types of ways to trick them so their body naturally does it on their own. In ways that I trick them, it's a terrible way to say it, but I'm having them do drills, and I'm having them land and doing these drills so that their foot's landing in the right spot, so that their stride is doing this thing. So I have them run, I have them do these drills, and then we go together and we work on these strides. And these strides, we're just connecting our brain to our body so that we're activating the right muscles. So these drills are prepping you to do these things appropriately so that when I implement you into these strides, I'm not putting you cold muscles into these things. I'm not doing static stretches before I have you sprint. I'm having you do these dynamic drills that are going to, one, get your brain connected to your body so you get the right muscles going. And two, we're doing it so we're connected and we're doing it appropriately. We're not just kind of getting after it. The second one, or the next thing to trick people, is we can put ourselves at a slant, right? If we're running up a hill, and if we're doing hill sprints, it's actually, people think I'm going to get more injured doing hill sprints, but you're going to be at an advantage by doing hill sprints versus on a straight, because you're putting yourself in the correct position. You're building the strength and durability of your muscles. I'm trying to produce what I call good pieces of Tupperware. That piece of Tupperware that you put into the dishwasher, it comes back out and you can use it again without it being warped. I like to say my athletes are good, glad Tupperware. They're happy, they're healthy, and they're durable, right? And so in doing that, you got to do the drills, you got to do the strides. You can't just go from hiking to sprinting. I mean, there's another example. I could go on for days. I wrote a workout for a coach at a gym, and I was doing this. He was trying to get faster, and so he saw progression. He started feeling good. He was like, "Yeah, I'm going to get after it." And then I wrote this 150 meter repeats, and we were doing these. He was doing these repeats, and the third one or whatever, he pulled his hamstring. And I remember saying, like, this is a hamstring destroyer. you need to do the drills, the strides, and you need to warm up. There's a slow jog for at least 15 minutes before, then do these drills and do these strides, and then do the 150s. I even do a workout before the 150s to trick them to warm up before they're doing the 150s. He texts me and he goes, dude, I pulled a hamstring. I said, hey, did you do your drills and strides? And did you do the warm up? And he texts me and like took away the bubbles are there. It's kind of just going. And he says,
he left
yes.
you on red.
No, but he said yes. But it took him a long time to say it. And then I saw him the next day and he was kind of walking all funny. And I'm like, hey man, did you really do the drills and strides? And he goes, no. And I go, okay, like that's why. So, I don't know. I think I answered your question. To be better at those things, to prevent those injuries, you have to do the right things to appropriately warm you up and not go from, I'm not going to do an all-out sprint. My strides are super important. If you don't know what strides are, Google them, YouTube them. There's a million different videos out there. I want you to do strides 2 to 3 times a week. And you do that for any bit of your program. Whenever I have an athlete, the first 2-3 weeks, even a month, is once a week, we might be doing hill sprints, or every other week we're doing hill sprints. And we're starting from 4 to 6 hill sprints and we're building ourselves up to 10 hill sprints. We're doing the same thing with strides. I do strides before every race. I do strides before every big workout. I do strides as I'm doing a run at the end when I'm trying to progress them into an actual workout. So there's a bunch of different stuff. And if you want to be a better runner, learn how to do strides.
Okay. So since we're on to the warm-ups and the optimization thing, let's just go into the optimization portion of running, right? So you mentioned the critical importance of working up and also warming up and, pacing yourself appropriately to get the desired physiological output, right?
Yes.
Big thing. What about like things that we are constantly focused on, maybe not as important as the warm-ups, the progressions, all that stuff? What about like stance? Like, is there anything that you could do to optimize stance? And you kind of said it earlier that you don't really focus on correcting postures, stances, all that stuff. But is there anything that you do work on in that kind of context, like stance wise, I guess?
Yeah. When you say stance, I think of core. So I think a lot of crossbody, like core stuff. So bird dogs, doing these different types of things where you're activating your core planks. I have a really good friend of mine that if I don't say that everything starts in the core, then they would say that I'm a terrible person. Everything starts in your core. It's core, and in CrossFit, it's core to extremity movement. So that's why the Turkish get up is so awesome. And I love that thing because you're teaching, because your core, you're never going to, and my athlete would always be like, well, you ever going to grab a remote off the floor and do a Turkish get up? And I said, no. I said, but when you do grab the remote off the floor, your core is going to be engaged because of that gosh darn Turkish get up. But so core, so I look at core. Are you hunched over? Do you have pain in your lower back because you're hunched over towards the end of the run? And you're like, man, why does my lower back hurt? And I just had an athlete ask me that. And I said, okay, let's look at your core. Core is super weak. We have glute activation. So when I'm looking at people's stuff, I was told by a physical therapist, I'm all calves and no ass. I have no ass. I'm all calf, ginormous calves. And it was a polite way of saying like, I didn't activate my glutes. And so I do glute activation. I get a band and I put it above my knees and I'm doing all these glute activations. I'm doing that before my runs. I'm doing that after my runs. Sometimes I do it before bed. I do it before I'm doing squats because I'm connecting, just like a stride. I'm connecting my brain to my body and I want my glute to activate, not my calf. So I'm looking at different types of things like vertical oscillation. So I'm looking at if I'm running and I see this person going up and down like this on the horizon, I know that they're really jumping up and then they're coming back down. That's extra load. That's extra force over a period of time of a race. That's going to cause injury over time. So we're looking at that vertical oscillation. We're looking at, when you get really into the weeds, you're looking at the ground contact time. How long are their feet on the ground? Is one foot on the ground longer than the other foot? That's going to be a sign of a weakness. That's going to cause something. Another thing that we're looking for is like a single leg isolation. So I used to skateboard. I'm a terrible skateboarder, but I had a skateboard and I could move my foot. And if you look at what's your stronger foot, it's probably your lead skateboard foot or your scooter foot or whatever you're into. That foot is going to be stronger because you're moving the front of your skateboard to turn with that actual foot. And so when I do single leg isolation stuff, my left leg is stronger than my right leg. Identifying those things. And as a coach from an outsider's perspective, I can look at drills. I can look at you doing our warm-ups together. And before we even talk about or do any of these types of workouts, I can see and like point out these things. So that's where I look at form or stance is like I'm putting you through these little secret drills, and I'm identifying problems that I could find a solution to with a different type of training stimulus. Maybe it's a strength training. Maybe it's a core isolation. Maybe it's upper body weakness. Maybe it's my right foot pronates more than my left foot. So developing those things and turning those muscles on before we actually do a workout to get you going.
Okay.
I think that answered your question about stance.
No, it does. And so what about like variety of workouts, like the things that kind of like, I guess, correlate well with running? So like you mentioned Turkish get-ups earlier, you mentioned some isolation stuff like pistols earlier. Like as far as the variety, I mean, if you just sit there and run all the time, I mean, yeah, you're probably going to plateau or get injured, right? But what are some of the other things, like the secondary and tertiary components that we could throw into optimization of running?
Well, there's the cross training. So when you're jumping on a bike and doing these things, if I have someone with shin splints, or if I have someone that's having a problem with something, I might put them on the bike and I can still get the same stimulus out of them that I'm trying to produce from a threshold run than I could if I knew more about them on the bike. A strength training program. Making sure that the intensity is appropriate to what they're doing. So Ryan Hall is a fantastic runner. He's the fastest American half marathoner and marathoner. He went from a Olympian 130 something pound individual to 195, 200 pound beast of a man. And he did that. And he realized that when he was running and he was only running all the time, he didn't prioritize strength training and how important that is for durability. When you're 30, your peak bone density. So when I was 32, I went and got my bone density scan to see where I stayed or where I was. So that in 30 years from now, I can go get my bone density scan done again and see how much I've done or how much I've gone down. You pretty much peak at 30 years old for your bone density. So plyometrics, strength training, doing squats, being under a load is going to make you stronger. And so you peak at 30 and then you either hold on to it or you go down. That's why when you see older people let's say that they fall out of their bed or they break their hip. Once they break their hip, they're actually going to die a lot faster because of they weren't able to move appropriately. I used to go on calls and we go to convalescent homes. And in the convalescent homes, a lady fell out of her bed and was so weak that she choked herself to death because she couldn't get out of bed. Oh, right. Shit. So it's insane amount of stuff that if we can instill appropriate strength training protocols for runners, for firefighters, for elderly, for the young, you're going to make them more resilient in the time of need. So I would call it off the floor programming. I want people of all ages. It increases testosterone. Everyone wants to take supplements about testosterone. I'm going to do TRT. Go lift some weights and prioritize sleep and eat real food and be hydrated, and you're going to get some awesome results. I got off topic again. Sorry about your, what were you saying about I got pumped when I started talking about that.
Different exercises that kind of combine well with running and optimizing your running capacity.
Yeah. So Ryan Hall was talking about, I love hex bar deadlifts. For me, hex bar deadlifts, I get a bunch of athletes on that. I have 2 of them at my gym, and we're doing hex bar deadlifts pretty often. It just changes the load. It changes the way that you do that. It changes the pulling location. I have a lot more control. So as older individuals can do it, younger individuals, we're going to learn the proper form of deadlifting. And then you had said balance and understanding that in running, there's actually different paces of running that cause different adaptations that you're looking for. So having the correct balance of not going moderate all the time to doing some really, really slow stuff sometimes, and then some really, really fast stuff sometimes. So above your capacity and well below your capacity, you're going to have a better increase in ability over time if you do it that way versus kind of doing the same thing moderate all the time. And I think that's what like athletes do is they're super competitive and they do 7:30 every day. And so if you offer variety of really fast and really slow, you're going to see a difference. And different types of running programs. I'm going to be offering a core routine. I'm going to be offering some cycling. I'm going to be offering a strength routine where we're doing, like you said, or like what I said earlier with the single leg isolation stuff. We're going to be doing I forget the name of it, but these, oh man, I'm going to get in trouble for not knowing this one, but it's that bike. It's a little bike and it's an elliptical, but it's on a bike. What is it? I don't know what it's called. I'm going to get crap for that. But you're doing the same movement as you are on elliptical, and it's propelling the wheels. And a lot of professional runners
like
will jump on that.
It's kind of like it's almost like a ski erg, but it's like an elliptical bike, almost like an actual. It moves on the road. I forget what they're called.
So I'm gonna get crap for that. But when you're on that thing, it's almost simulating the same movement, but there's no impact. When we're doing stuff in a pool, we have pool running, we have pool aerobics, you have all these things that are offering this stuff. You actually see people on treadmills that they'll be running, like the bottom half of them will be underneath this thing that's actually making them lighter so that they can build up to actually holding their own weight on it. I would think that with running, incorporating, I think in fire service, a really good one is swimming. You're learning how to use your muscles with less oxygen so that you're building an adaptation that you might need as you're holding your breath, because it's very much a rhythm. When you're running, it's a rhythm with your breathing. And it's that same thing. If you've ever swam, it's like every third stroke, I'm going to take a breath. I have to hold my breath for the rest of the time, because if I don't, I'm just going to swallow water. So those types of things. So I think that's kind of what we have. I use machines. I use the biker, the skier, the rower. I call myself a machine maniac. I will do all the machines. I absolutely love it. And I do that for threshold training. And I also sit on a rower for over an hour, just rowing super slow. So it depends on what adaptation I'm looking for.
I honestly think that a rower is one of the most underrated pieces of equipment that you could have. I mean, probably so is an assault bike, but I fucking hate assault bikes. God, I hate them, but they still provide their usefulness, right?
Oh, absolutely. So I was just talking to a physical therapist in my office. I like to record the conversations because it helps me retain the information. It's kind of what you do right now, but you make it public. I do it for selfish reasons so that I can understand what they're saying, because it takes me a while to kind of regurgitate or kind of take what they're saying and make it make sense in my head. But one of the things is he might have someone that he can get him on the assault bike, and he can do the assault bike for about 10 seconds on, 50 seconds off. And it's only about a 10-minute workout. So he has 30 minutes with this person. He's going to do about 10 minutes of a warm up. He's going to do this crazy 10-minute workout where I'm getting my heart rate super high. And then I'm going to do a 10-minute cool down, and then that's it. And he just got the same result that he would have done if he had been with this person for an hour at a consistent kind of thing. So the assault bike is an asshole. It's a soul sucker. That's what I call it.
It is 100% a soul sucking device. I will say that.
Yeah.
Oh man. So what about like the nutrition thing? There's like a lot of fad diets out there. There's paleo. I mean, I've done paleo before. There's carnivore. There's all sorts of stuff, like eat what you're craving kind of diets. There's all that shit out there. But as far as what has worked for a majority, I know it's not a one size fits all kind of thing, just like with running and training and anything, right? It's not one size fits all. But as far as nutrition, like what are we looking for? What's like working for your athletes that you're training?
So I want to start off by saying I'm not a nutrition specialist. So most of the information I get are from people way smarter than me. I have a friend who's just a stellar human being, an individual, and she is just top notch. She's where I get majority of my information from. And we always joke about that. We talk to her about supplements. We talk to her about nutrition, and just listen. And this is kind of a boring answer, so I'm sorry. It's listening to your body and understanding to eat more real food more often. So Easter was just recently, and I ate so much candy. I was stealing candy from all my kids and all my cousins, and I was eating I just was sugar galore. My wife and I felt like we had drank the night before when we woke up on Monday. We're like, gosh,
sugar hangover.
Oh, absolutely. I went and worked out on Wednesday, 3 days later, and I was still feeling the effects of all that sugar that I had. And just being aware of the type of food that you're putting into your body is the first thing. Understanding that eating more real food is better. There's a lady in the CrossFit world. I forget what she does, but she does this challenge called the 800 gram challenge, where she challenges you to not take food out of your diet, but to add food in. And adding the food in, she's having you add 800 grams of vegetables and fruit. And so it's a really cool way to think about it, because if I start saying like, I can't have chocolate versus I need to have this fruit and vegetable, I'm going to not have time, or I'm not going to be hungry for that chocolate. It's just a different mindset. So the way that I like to do it is, one, I take all the crap out of my cupboards, because If there's Oreos, I'll eat a whole stack. I'll eat a whole thing. Graham crackers, milk,
Cheez-Its. Oh, I'll crush an entire box.
So oh my goodness, I will take it out. And runners feel like, oh, I ran 18 miles today. I can eat whatever I want. And that's just like this mindset. And so what we have this problem of like, I'm just going to replenish it with crappy food. I will say that this is controversial. I will, after an 18-mile run, down a chocolate milk. Absolutely. That's my go-to for my athletes or anyone in the fire service. I put them in my lunchbox. I had them and I would have chocolate milk after every hard workout that I could possible. The ratio that you're looking for of all that stuff is fantastic. If anyone wants to sponsor me, that's Chocolate Milk Foundation. At my gym, I'm going to have a refrigerator full of chocolate milk for all the post-run activity. But and that's people don't like to hear that. So, but let's see, what else can I say? Protein, right? Look at a plate of food and make sure that you're eating that plate of food and make sure that it looks bright and colorful. Make sure that the meat on there is sometimes fish, a steak, chicken, like you're eating real food. You're eating food that's there. That's not like, I'm not eating an In-N-Out burger all the time. All my vegetables I eat a lot of frozen peas, by the way. So frozen peas, a staple in my house for dinner is going to be beef, peas, and some kind of vegetable or like a starch medley, sweet potatoes or something like that. That's what I'm going for. And I'm eating a bunch of food. Before every big workout, I'm eating a half cup of oats, dried oats. So cooked, it's about a full cup. I'm doing peanut butter. I'm doing honey. I'm doing dried cranberries. I'm having orange juice. I eat a certain amount of food that has been able to fuel me for an entire workout. And I use this analogy with my athletes. I said, would you ever go on a road trip without having any gas in your gas tank? And they'd be like, no, because I'm going to have to get fuel right away. And that's absolutely it. I don't program. We practice our race day nutrition months in advance. So the coffee that we're having, the hydration, the water that we're having, and the food that we're having. We don't want to get to the start line and then crap our pants. We don't want to get to the start line and 2 miles in have to take a pee and we just lost 30 seconds, 40 seconds. Being able to identify the things that you're doing and eating and putting in your mouth, it's not as hard as people make it. They're like, I want to have 2,100 calories and my macros are going to be, I don't know, whatever you want to say, 30. I'm trying to think of my normal macro, like 40, 30 and whatever else is left. And so I'm not necessarily worried about that. Are you eating ice cream at night? Are you drinking wine at night? Are you eating your kids' snacks? Are you eating because you're stressed or because you're bored? Once you have all that under control, then we can work on maybe a caloric deficit. And then after we get that figured out and you feel like you're able to work out, then we're going to change the macronutrients and kind of go that route. I don't have a prescription for each person. It's individually based on how they act and respond. Carbs are okay. Just eat them. So
you kind of need them.
There you go. So, yeah.
Well, it's sugar, man. It's like, that's your quick hitter right there for energy.
Absolutely. But so I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. I mean, there's a lot of, I guess, I would call it like bullshit out there, but it's not bullshit because if it works for them, then it's not bullshit, right? Like I got my own like pre-run, pre-workout kind of meal thing, right? I try and stay away from bullshit supplements. There was a point where I was taking like pre-workout stuff, right? Like the hyper-caffeinated, lots of BCAAs in them, that kind of stuff. But come to find out that I perform better without that shit. So as far as the supplementation, let's get into that topic. Cause I know there's a lot of like witchcraft and like bro science out there. I mean, I know you're not a nutritionist or anything like that, but what is your thoughts? What's your opinions on supplementation?
So I will start off by saying I was like you. I've taken probably almost every supplement under the sun. I was looking for that quick fix. And this person I've talked about, oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I talked to my friend who's does this for a living. And I said, all right, I want to take the supplement. And she said, okay. And she was a nutritionist for the men's USA Olympic volleyball team. She was a nutritionist and exercise physiologist for the military. So she goes and studies the military and the types of food. She worked in the Giants nutrition, the San Francisco Giants nutrition, and all this stuff. And she says, Lucas, these athletes are paid and they don't take any supplements. They eat real food more often. Why? you don't get paid? Are you paying money for something that it may or may not make you better when you could just eat real food and prioritize sleep? So that's where I start. I start with all my athletes when they ask about supplements. I'm saying, hey, we are going to look at your sleep. Once your sleep is figured out and you still have a deficiency, right, we're going to go get blood work done. If you're taking a multivitamin or you're taking a supplement and you've never done any blood work to identify that you might have a deficiency in that area, then you might just be peeing and pooping out money that you just literally just might as well just eat money because you're going to poop it out. A prime example, my wife and I, we were working out pretty hard, and she goes, man, I think I need some supplements. And I said, okay, yeah, let's do some research on it. Let's figure it out. I said, let's go get your blood test. She goes and gets a blood test. She goes to the doctor, and the doctor says, you're doing great. You have no deficiencies. Everything is just on point, all your stuff.
Optimized.
And we were
across the board.
Yeah. And we were about to go spend money on something for her because we thought that would make her recover faster, do these things. But she was already eating well. She eats very well. She wasn't drinking. She had great hydration. She was prioritizing sleep, and all of her markers were fantastic. And so I like to think of it that way. If we're going to take supplements, let's be honest and realistic with it. Why are you taking the supplement? You want to be better, faster, and you're just looking for a shortcut. So look yourself in the mirror and say hey, stop. 2, are you taking the right steps to do these things? Have there been enough research to be done that shows that this supplement is actually doing something for you? So like creatine, it's the number one tested subject out there. There's articles. Educate yourself on why you're taking this. Is this something you need? Is this something you're missing? Zinc, magnesium aspartate, ZMAs. I used to be told to take that in the fire service. Am I deficient in those things? Are those things going to help me do that? Or do I just need to drink a glass of milk maybe? Or eat real food? What other kind of supplements are out there? There's like TRT, testosterone replacement therapy. That's a huge one in the fire service, and maybe in a different area of fire service. They were talking about it a lot. And if you look at what is going on at their sleeping habits, right? Their sleeping habits are terrible. They're getting woken up in the middle of the night to go do these things. The wildland, they're sleeping on the side of the hill. They're digging their own place to sleep. They're getting terrible sleep. They're cold. They're too hot. They're inhaling all this stuff. But we want to take TRT to get testosterone therapy when if we kind of just found a way to make our sleep a little bit better, we'd see maybe some of the same results without doing that. Now we introduce TRT and we look great. We're thin, look real good. We're jacked, but then you're stuck on that for the remainder of your life. I'm 40 years old and I still have another 40 years to live. Now I'm just going to be sticking a needle or doing whatever kind of stuff I'm going to do. Those types of things. So I have a really a not fun answer for supplements. And it's, if you think you need them, you maybe don't. If you are still taking care of all those things like sleep, nutrition, hydration, and you still feel like you need them, get blood test. If you get a blood test and you're then prioritizing sleep, you're doing all these things, and then it says you're deficient in something, work on that. But it might not just be the supplement. Maybe you're deficient in magnesium. It's not necessarily magnesium that you're deficient in. It might be the pathway that gets the magnesium into that system. So be educated on the reasons why you're going to be doing these things. And is it really worth that 1% being better when there's other things that are the base level, they're going to make you 10% better. So
yeah, the greater good for, instead of taking that 1%, dude, that's what it should be all about. Cause you're going to be having longevity. Like the whole topic of TRT. I mean, I know that's huge in fire service, military, cops, everybody, right? Professional athletes even. But I mean, like you're saying, man, is it really needed? Or things like protein powder. I mean, I understand the utility behind, especially the wildland folks out there, like the Fed crews or whoever's out there pounding dirt every summer for 8 months out of the year. I could totally understand the utility behind certain supplements like protein powders or like maybe some athletic greens, for instance. I'm throwing something out there, something that's going to give you a little bit more nutrition, because nutrition is not very readily available when you're 300 miles away from the closest town and in the middle of nowhere with no cell phone service. It's just not going to happen. That, and even in travel status, you're eating shitty gas station food. I mean,
Uncrustables. I lived at Uncrustables. Strawberry Uncrustable was like a chief in the fire line. Like if I didn't have a Strawberry Uncrustable, I would arm wrestle anybody for an Uncrustable, a strawberry one. But like the amount of calories that are in the fire line meals are insane. That's what you have to do to kind of make it through those things where you're working for 24 hours. in Cal Fire, we work 24 hours and have 24 hours off, but ultimately working for almost like 28 hours because you're on the line from 8 to 8 the next morning, but then you're driving an hour and a half to base camp. And then you're sitting there, you're cleaning your rig, you're refueling and you're restocking everything. Then you're going to go into the meal line. You're going to eat all the meal. You're going to be doing all these things. And then by the time you get an hour to your hotel that you might get because it's a Cal Fire, it's a state fire, it's not a Fed fire, you're going to get 12 hours, maybe 10. Then you go there, you go rest, you try to hang out or whatever. And then all of a sudden you wake up, it's 4:00 and you're like, I got to do that all over again. So your 24 hour on, 24 hour off really turns into like 36 and whatever else that equals. It doesn't equal. So, I understand the frustrations of those quick things and like athletic greens, you said, all those supplements that have been tested and tried and true to help you get those nutrients that you need are super important, and understand that there are some out there that are better than the other, and knowing the ingredients of what's in there versus what the marketing tells you it does for you. So is it a really good marketing tool? Like Liquid Death, the water out of a can. That's a really good marketing tool because it's water in a can.
It's awesome though. That shit's so good.
I fell into Liquid Death. It
doesn't suck. It definitely does not suck.
But it's just water in a can. And the story behind Liquid Death is he was a marketing, like a genius, and he had some outlandish marketing ideas and he did a really good job, and it's fantastic. And there's nothing else like it. And if you find it, that's great. I wish I could find a way to do that, to put water in a can. And it's
fucking water.
Yes. So but yeah,
it's good though. I will say, especially the flavored ones. I am kind of
especially if they're going to sponsor. If they sponsor your podcast, dude, Liquid Death would be everywhere. I'd put one up there. I'd put it everywhere. They're all over the place.
Okay, marketing team over at Liquid Death. If you want to sponsor the podcast, I will open to negotiations because that shit is fire. But yeah, I mean, that's another thing too. Like the whole supplement thing and the marketing strategy and all that stuff. I think it is very important to know what's actually going in your body, because there is a lot of bro science behind a lot of this shit out there. There is. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's really no two ways around it, man, unless you're going to talk to a professional.
Well, even if you talk to a professional, if you look at the way that these studies are done, there's intermittent fasting study that was done, and they did the hour window between 8 and 2 or whatever the hour windows were. And then they actually went and found out why they did that type of study. It's because the lab was open from 8 to 2. So that's why they did it at that time. It wasn't, there were great benefits from it, but that's why they chose that hour window. So now we have someone that's preaching, it has to be this and it has to be that, when it was because of the way that the lab was funded, that they could be open at that time, that's why they chose those hour marks for their mice that they were testing it on. So it's not a bad thing. I love articles. I read articles. Whenever I talk to anybody, I try to get an article about different types of training, different types of stimulus, I get sent articles all the time. I read them and I don't understand about 70% of them. That's when I ask my friends that are way smarter than me and they help explain it to me. And that's how I learn. Like I constantly am challenging myself with new ways and new ways to think about. And I'll be the first to admit that, hey, I told you something wrong because I learned something way better. Like I used to tell some of my athletes that they should have a gram of protein per pound of body weight. So a gram of protein per body weight. So if you weighed 200 pounds, you'd have 200 grams of protein. And come to find out that might not be necessary. That might be too much protein. And so I've made those mistakes where I've said those kinds of things. And this kind of goes back full circle to understanding to be a good leader, a good cadre or captain or whatever. So understand that maybe that you were giving it wrong at one point, but there are other ways to do it. And then this way might be better to do that. So I think that's a fantastic way. So that's why I have a hard time giving exact macronutrients and that stuff, because it's all dependent on the person.
Oh yeah. It's what works for you the best, right? It's just like, I don't know. I do good with salt. I do good. My pre-workout meal would be 2 hours before I knew I was going to work out. I'd go eat some oatmeal with some dried cranberries and probably a scoop of protein powder in it. Mm-hmm. Maybe some peanut butter if I didn't have that. Maybe something else with some sort of protein in there, right? And then maybe 45 minutes before my run, if I was doing something that was very intense, I'd eat a handful of no shit gummy bears or like fruit snacks. That worked for me.
That's that instant sugar that you talk about. You have these bodybuilders that are eating Skittles while they're lifting weights, or I think it's Skittles or gummy bears. So it's that same thing that they're doing that to
just get not the sugar-free ones though.
It doesn't work that way. But I think that's super important, is that you found something, and over time you found something that works for you, that gets you the most out of your workout, and you can replenish yourself, that you can not only do this workout now, but you can do it again. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good thing to know and to do.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing too, is like, you need the science behind it. You need to work with somebody, especially if you're an endurance athlete, which every wildland firefighter is to some degree. But if you're doing like ultra marathons and stuff like that, it's important to have a coach like yourself, and not only just a running coach, but a nutrition coach, a movement coach, a whatever coach. I mean, getting the right tools to be competitive and successful at that, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think that that's important. And the fact that there's so many ways, I mean, let's go back. You said a running coach and then a nutrition coach. You have people that specialize in these things, that are nutritionists, this is what they do for a living. They went to college, they study it, they've seen it they've worked in hospitals, they see it work on the elderly, and they see it work on these crazy athletes, and they might specialize in that, and they're going to have that. I was willing to pay money for a running coach, and I had a great running coach. But I wasn't willing to spend money on a nutritionist or a nutrition coach when I probably would have seen more rewards from a nutrition coach. It's just because that's what I wasn't prioritizing at that time. And to know that you need these things. And so I think that's super important, that point that you just brought up. So yeah, kudos to you.
Oh, thank you. So I guess the last kind of topic I want to talk about is like the mental component of running. Everybody out there, and I've been guilty of this too. Yeah, it is physical, but I think, and until this day, I think that any hard ass workout or hard run or any of that stuff, anything difficult is going to be primarily a mental game. So let's talk about the pain cave on the last little subject that we have here. And yeah, let's just go down the rabbit hole on this one, because I'm fascinated by it.
All right. The pain cave is a deep, dark, scary place that people go to often. And how you regulate it is being familiar with it. And there's no other way to get familiar with what the pain cave is like unless you're in it. So go there, do those things and see what it's like, because sometimes you can go further than you think you can. Your body has these mechanisms in its brain that will stop you before your energy level or whatever, the fuel source that you have, is going to run out. So it's technically your brain stopping you, not your ability and endurance. Sometimes it's your mental status. No offense to David Goggins, fantastic, hardworking, the hardest mofo. Get after it, David Goggins.
If you look up "don't be a bitch" in the dictionary, it's probably a picture next to him. But
yes,
how much of it that is factual? Like, that's working for him, but is his mentality going to work for everybody else? Not necessarily.
And this is what I think. I get this a lot. People read David Goggins' book, or they read a motivational thing about hard stuff, and then they train for a half marathon, and then they get blown out, they get injured, they do these things, and they're like, man, I can't figure out what's going on. If you didn't do it appropriately. David Goggins, again, I think David Goggins is fantastic, good stuff. What is his marriage life like? What is his relationship with his children like? What is his mental state like? We have to weigh those things. Yes, David Goggins is a hard mofo that can run forever and duct tape his ankles together. But when he comes home and to his wife, is his wife happy, or his relationship with his kids okay? Like, there's got to be a balance. And this is all across everything, with nutrition, with training, mental capacity. You have to find a balance where you're doing these things so that you, and that kind of resorts back to your why, which we didn't really talk about too much, but you always need to identify why you're doing the things that you're doing, because you're not going to, and this is a good thing for David Goggins, you're not going to be motivated all the time. I mean, every podcast you listen to, they'll say like motivation, blah, is dumb. And I get it. It's not there all the time. I don't want to wake up at 4:00 every morning. I don't want to. I look at my watch and I'm like, this sucks. But I get up and I do it, not because I'm motivated, but because that's the time that I have before my kids wake up, so that I can be there and present during my kids' breakfast. So You look at Jocko, you do these things in leadership, getting into these pain caves. They're not motivated. They're just disciplined. And I think that's something we can take from those people, is that discipline is key. You need to be disciplined to overcome a lot of the adversities that you're going to have. And discipline is going to lead you the way. I was the most confident I've ever been when I was the most disciplined in my training, my nutrition, and everything. It wasn't because I looked the best. It was because I was disciplined in the decisions that I was making. For the pain cave, I love the pain cave. I think the pain cave, one of my rules, I have 3 rules, but one of them is get comfortable where others are uncomfortable. I knew that going up a hill, that as soon as my legs hurt, the guy or gal next to me's legs were hurting just as bad as I would. And I would trick my brain. That's when I would start trying hard. So I used that to my advantage. On the other side of that, if you go into the pain cave so much, you're going to get injured. You're going to do all these things to get you. If the longer you're in the pain cave, the more risk you're going to have, risk versus reward. But it calluses your mind. There's a picture of me on an assault bike from the last event I did. I did this event, and there's 25 calories in this bike, or on this bike, and it's in the middle of this 30-minute workout. And I'm doing it, and there's a picture that the photographer took, and it's a picture of me, and I look like in the zone, like super, like I was like, oh, that's a great picture. I scanned I'm getting the next picture. It looked like I was crying. It looked like Jesus was telling me to like step up. And I was just like dying. And you could definitely see I was in the pain cave. The first picture was me comfortable. The next picture was me seeing death and realizing that I was as close as I've ever been. And it was very uncomfortable. And that was a bad spot to be in, but I was there and I still survived. I didn't die. Right. So I just love that picture, because one picture I look like I'm focused. I'm in the zone. The next picture, I look like my son after I just took away candy from him. Like it's just like whimpering. It was so funny to see the drastic difference. And that's the true pain cave. But I love the pain cave. I think it's a great place.
I think one of the things that ties directly into the pain cave is overcoming adversity as well. Because man, if you get injured or if you bonk on a marathon that you've been training for 6 months, 8 months, you bonk within the first 10 miles, that takes a hit to your ego. And to say that we don't have ego in the game, in the fight, with any kind of physical fitness or our careers or pretty much any component of our life is utter bullshit. We all have ego. And when you take an ass whooping, that ego definitely takes an injury as well. So as far as recovering the pain cave, I guess recovering from adversity in the pain cave's relation to that, like what do we got in that component of the mental game?
That's a great question. I just had this talk with an athlete not too long ago. And it's funny that you said the marathon thing. The last marathon I did, I had this audacious goal and I failed tremendously. I had this big aspirations that I thought if I hit this one time, it would give me credit in this running field or the world or whatever.
Street cred.
And I was so far off. Like I knew at mile 13 that I was not going to hit anywhere close to what I was going to do, but I had flown all the way to Iowa to do this marathon. I was not going to not finish the marathon. There's a couple things that came from this. The one is you never know who's watching. There's a picture of me, and it's actually on my slideshow, me laying down on the ground, almost throwing a fit because I didn't hit the goal that I wanted to hit. Guess who was looking at me? My son. My son, when he doesn't hit his goal, what do you think he does? He throws a fit because I was his leader and his example, and how I responded to adversity is exactly how he responds to adversity. So remember that people are always watching. That's in the fire service. That's in life. When you see something at your firehouse or something on the fire camp and there's a piece of trash, pick that piece of trash up because you have pride, and you have pride in your camp. But you also have pride in yourself that you're not going to walk by something. You're going to move the trash can when you're mopping the bathrooms or the barracks because you know that underneath that trash can needs to be mopped. Don't mop around it, you weakling. Like mop underneath it. So people are always watching. I was talking to one of my athletes about it, he also had a race and he bombed it. He just did terrible. And I was able, because I bombed this race prior, to relate to him on such a level that only the two of us understood, because we had both done the same thing. I had failed, and I think failure is fantastic. I think failure is a key and necessity to life. You need to fail. You need to learn from it. You like they say, like, what is that? I don't make mistakes, or I don't fail. I only learn, or whatever that quote is. But you learn so much from adversity that you need to do that. One, it makes you appreciate the way that when you do achieve your goal, that you could celebrate and give yourself a pat on the back. Our son, we do a golden egg, and this is not kind of related, but at Easter, we search for a golden egg, and there's one egg, it's like this big. And my son, he's 5, and he's never found it. And he gets so sad because he's super competitive, and I can't figure out why. I don't know if it's my wife or me, but I'm just kidding. But he wants to get it every year. And my wife and I were talking about how important it is for him to not get it, because when he does get it, it's going to mean so much to him. And so that's for everything. If that's your dream job, if that's the goal time of your marathon, if that's doing well in a CrossFit event, or doing well in whatever kind of sports or math or whatever you're doing, you need business, to fail so that you understand. Exactly. If as soon as you are doing those types of things, you are going to appreciate it so much more. It's just, I don't know how to explain it. It means so much to you. And so I think you need to fail often to understand it. So, and that's also in the pain cave. You need to be in the pain cave often to understand it, to see that place of mental fortitude, one might say.
Oh yeah. It's like that Joe Rogan episode where he was talking with Steve Rinella about their hunt in Alaska, and it was just pissing rain, freezing effing cold. And they were out there for like a week. They were finally successful. I don't even know if they were successful on their hunt, but they come back to like this rundown like lodge that probably has like bed bugs and shit, right? And he there's a point in the podcast where he talks about like taking a shower after being cold for that long. It's like those little things that we take for granted so often, that after we've been in the pain cave for so long, it feels like you're a brand new person. So I think there's a lot to be said about the failure. There's a lot to be said about the pain cave and what it can provide to you as not only an athlete, but as just a human.
Oh, absolutely. The life lessons that you learn in those situations are unmatchable in any way whatsoever.
Hell so, yeah.
I wanted to say a couple of things about, if you don't mind. I was reading through your website, and I think it's great. You're talking about, I don't know if it was your mission statement or just more about you. And it was talking about how you're trying to highlight the stories, the career opportunities, spread awareness of fire prevention, and educate the public on the struggle and achievements of mental health in the fire service. And I wanted to take a moment to commend you for what you're doing, because a lot of people don't necessarily give credit when credit's due. But by you being vocal and doing these things and bringing awareness, you're educating people by bringing someone like me on that might not be a wildland firefighter, like hardcore wildland firefighter. You're going to bring some of my audience here that might listen to this podcast that's going to now know about the struggles that the wildland firefighters have, the spread awareness about fire prevention, about how the things that they can do can help them help you and save houses across I'm going to say the United States just because of that, but the mental health. There's a lot of times when people don't understand that people in the fire service are, even though they're tough and they're brave and they're doing these things, they struggle and they need help. And they're too, like you said, that person that got rhabdo, because they have too much pride to admit that they need help. The mental awareness and being mentally strong doesn't mean that you hide things. It means you're vulnerable enough to talk about it in a way that makes other people realize that they're not alone. So you have done a great job of letting firefighters and people in whatever aspect of life know that they're not alone and that they have help, and there's a community out there. I'm a big believer in community. The Landsharks Running Co. is a huge community that we motivate through movement, but our community lets people know that we're there for them. And we have a symbol, and it's called fins up. And we just put this little thing on our head like this. And it's right. Just like, because we're a shark, but it lets them know that we're there for them. And so I couldn't do it without, but you deserve a fins up because of what you're doing and the things that you're bringing awareness to, because it's making a difference. So continue doing what you're doing. I think it's fantastic. the people that listen to this, share it, spread it, because there's so many different facets of life and mental health that need to be addressed. They could be addressed by talking. They could be addressed by physical activity. They could be addressed by sleep and the type of food that they're eating. And if they do those things, they're going to be better individuals for the rest of their life. So fins up, dude. That's what I just want to say to you. That's awesome. There it is. Look at that.
Fins up, dude.
So good stuff.
Thank
Yeah, that's good stuff.
No, I appreciate the compliment.
You're very
man.
welcome.
And I am arguably one of the world's worst people at taking compliments, but I appreciate it, man. And I think that it's important to highlight these stories like yours and share what you have to offer the community, because that's what it's all about, man. It's honestly just, as long as we affect one person out there, and it's something that was said between you and I or any of the other podcasts or any other people that have been on the show, as long as they help one person and let them know that they're not alone or they're not struggling, fucking, that's a win, dude. That's a win in my book.
Absolutely. So keep grinding, man. That's great.
You as well, man.
Good stuff.
I appreciate the hell out of you.
Thank you.
But we're going to the end of the show here. Want to give you the opportunity to give some shout outs to some homies, heroes, mentors, and then where we can find you. Maybe book some running seminars for our crews.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So homies, right? So some senior firemen, if you're listening to this, you kind of helped shape, mold me to the individual that I am. I don't need to say any names. You know who you are. If you're a captain that I've had in the past, I've had captains that have been great role models and examples of what to do. I've also had some captains of role models of what not to do. And I think that bad captains are equally as good captains, because you can learn what not to do and to do. So obviously everybody knows who they are. But the people just in the fire service in general is a family. And I'm a very family-oriented person. It's family first and fitness for me. And so I consider everybody in the fire service my family. So anybody that's listening to this that needs help, wants to talk about stuff, feel free to, I guess I can tell you where you can find me on landsharksrunningco.com. It's our website. You can also find us on Instagram. It's Landsharks Running Co. on Instagram. Where there's like a blue and white symbol that we'll put links into it. My phone number is probably out there on those different items. So if you want to call or text or email me, feel free. I'm on my computer and my email constantly. And that's how I generally communicate with people. And if you're looking for what I've just recently offered, we're in about 15 schools for a 4th through 6th grade running club, and we're called the Junior Landsharks. So that's a really proud moment of mine that we're motivating kids to get off iPads.
That's
so
awesome.
I think that's a problem that we have. And it's just teaching them, like our topic last week was respect. And our topic the week before that was just goals and being oriented. And we actually did a topic about making the hard decision. And I think that we need to implement and teach young children these different types of standards so that they're used to them when they get into the fire service, or they're used to them when they get into these trades. We need more mechanics. We need more plumbers. We need more people to do these wonderful things. And I think if we teach them and instill it at a younger age, we're going to be doing that. If you're interested, I just offered a seminar to a local CAL FIRE camp, and they absolutely enjoyed it because we talked about all these things. We get into the weeds. We do a little bit of nerd stuff. We get into different types of running philosophies, training methodologies. We even did drills and strides, and we put them through a little pace workout to help them understand and show that, like, hey, we don't understand pace as much as we think we do. So that's something you can do. And all those things you can find on our website or on our Instagram. So yeah, that's kind of it, I guess. Shout outs to homies. Thanks to Downtown, our DT Lofts, for letting me use their offices here to do this podcast. So thank you. That's fantastic stuff. So.
Oh yeah, man. Well, Lucas, thank you for being on the show. And yeah, dude, I appreciate the hell out of your expertise and your knowledge that you're sharing with the global fire community, man. I appreciate the hell out of it because people need to hear this stuff.
And thanks for having me on. I appreciate everything that this offers. And just for me to talk about it is an joy for me. So if anyone wants to talk, I talk too much. So you'll just tell me to shut up sometimes. So
can't beat the authenticity, bro. That's for sure. It's good. You're passionate about it. It matters. That shit matters, dude. It does.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Right on. Well, Lucas, cool. Thank you so much. Fins up.
That's right, dude. Good stuff.
And yeah, we'll catch you guys on the next one. Thank you for listening. And boom, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Another episode of the Anchor Point Podcast is in the books with my good friend Lucas Garrett from Landsharks Running Company. Luke, dude, thank you so much for being on the show and sharing your expertise and knowledge in the field of running. Yeah, that was awesome. There was a lot of good information in there, especially with the injury avoidance, the running optimization, and the nutrition and rest part. Yeah, the pain cave, well, that's a place you got to kind of explore on your own, but I hope that the stuff that we were talking about helps you explore that pain cave a little bit better. Yeah. So once again, Luke, thank you so much. Speaking of running, this weekend, actually on April 22nd, Tahoe Hotshots, they're doing their annual Hotshot Half Marathon. So if you want to go over there and support a good cause, it's a portion of the proceeds. It's a fundraiser for the Wildland Firefighter Foundation. Go over there and do your damnedest. It's a badass trail run. Unfortunately, I will not be able to go. I've got to go to Sacramento the next day. So sorry about that, fellas and ladies. But yeah, thanks for the invite. So if you feel like getting your ass kicked by some pretty gnarly half marathon trail run, well, now's your opportunity. Go check it out on the old gram. They're floating around there somewhere. Speaking of running, if you want to get a hold of Lucas, go and check out his Instagram as well. And I will, of course, drop the contact information and all that jazz in the show notes. Yeah, pretty easy to find. Just search for Landsharks Running Co. and you'll find them. As for everybody, hope everybody's doing good. A lot of events coming up as well. There's one this past weekend. It was the Hot Shot Up volleyball tournament. Waiting to hear back from those guys, see how it went. But thank you so much for throwing that event. Kicks ass, goes to a good cause. And in June, beginning of June, we have the Rippin' Lips Dumpster Tuna event. Oh, wait, sorry, bass fishing tournament. Yeah. Sam, I hope you're listening to this one. And the fundraiser goes for the Wildland Firefighter Foundation on that one as well. So get out there preseason, go have some fun and mingle with some homies, mingle with some families. It's awesome. Keep doing these community events. They kick ass. As for all of you, hope you're doing well. The season is right around the corner. So hopefully we can go into that and not get injured like our buddy Lucas was saying, like, I don't know, not blowing out your hammy because you're not doing the right stuff. So listen to his words. He's got some good advice. Hope everybody's doing well. Shout out to our sponsors. We got Mystery Ranch. They make the damn best packs in the wildland firefighting game and then some. Go over to www.mysteryranch.com and check out their full line of load-bearing essentials. We've got Hotshot Brewery, of course, kick-ass coffee for a kick-ass cause, and a portion of the proceeds always goes back to the Wildland Firefighter Foundation. Go over to www.hotshotbrewing.com and check it out. Of course, we got the ass movement. What's up, booze? I'll be seeing you next week, buddy. Go over to www.thefirewild.com and you can save 10% on your entire order by entering the code AnchorPointAss10 at checkout. And last but not least, we've got the American Wildfire Experience. It is awesome. They also house the Smoky Generation. So if you want one of those grants, go over to www.wildfireexperience.org and check it out. Y'all know the drill. Stay safe. Stay savage. Peace.